Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Butch Shorak, Options University. It is Monday, December 10th, 2012, and welcome aboard. Access to this webinar and video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this video, website, or promotional material constitutes a promotion, recommendation, solicitation, or offer of any particular investment, security, or transaction. Options University provides educational services that are meant to teach you the risks and rewards of trading stocks and options, and we are not a service that tells you what to trade. We are not implying or guaranteeing any profit, and as always, do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Looking at the indexes for this past week, we see we had a rather mixed market. By that I mean that some of the indexes were up, some of the indexes were down, like in the NASDaq, like in Apple. And we see that we got different numbers for different indices. All right, so taking a look at that, we see the Dow was up 1% for the week, up 129 points. NASDAQ down minus 1%. And we saw that the S&P basically was flat. Russell basically was flat. And what we're primarily looking at is that we had a drop in U.S. manufacturing and ADP employment earlier in the week. And then as we got to the end of the week, we had bullish U.S. jobless claims, and U.S. non-manufacturing index was up. So it was a bit of a mixed market for the week as we sit on this fiscal cliff. All right, let's take a look at the individual indices, and let's talk about what economic announcements are coming for the next week. As we look at Monday, December 10th, we see we have very little going on, and we see, oh, look at this, the week of the FOMC meeting. It begins on Tuesday. What will the FOMC bring out of its book? Is it all done? Does it have anything left to bring out? International trade comes out at 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday prior to the market opening. And then we see import and export prices on Wednesday, and we have that all-important FOMC meeting announcement coming out at 12:30. This definitely can move the market. Don't expect a lot out of it at this particular time. What more are they going to do at this point? They've already begun QE3. On Thursday, we go into jobless claims, PPI, certainly big numbers in retail sales, things that we can look at. And as we look at Friday, we got CPI and we got industrial production all taking place before the market opens. So as we look at the week of economic announcements, we have things that certainly can move the market, but what we're really with basically some kind of bullish undertone to the market, except for Apple. We see that the market is just kind of hanging out, waiting to see if we can get any cooperation whatsoever out of our lawmakers in the White House. And we know that Obama's headed for a $4 million trip to celebrate what's taking place and taking, I think, 20 days in Hawaii. It sounds like a wonderful trip for our president after he had this tough election. Finally, looking at the SPX, let's take a look at the individual indices, and we see that for the last 3 days of the week, we were in an up cycle in a sideways trending market as we're trading above the 30-day moving average, below the 30-day moving average, and as we look at this yellow zone right here, we see we've been going sideways for the last couple weeks as we hit into the fourth quarter. Now, the fourth quarter should be the biggest quarter of the year, but that definitely doesn't seem to be the case as we're waiting to see, is a country going to fall off the fiscal cliff, or are the people we elected going to actually step up and get this taken care of? Now, let's take a look at a little closer look, but overall, the trend is sideways trend, with currently in an upcycle getting near resistance, which is the top of that yellow line there. So with that, let's take a look and see what the week held for us. As we began the week with rather poor announcements coming out of some of our economic announcements, and we saw we had a down day on Monday, down day on Tuesday, kind of flattened out on Wednesday, and then we went into an upcycle as we got towards the end of the week, got better announcements, and we showed the S&P when the week was all said and done was basically flat for the week. Now let's take a look at some of the other indexes. Looking at the Dow, we see that looking at the week, had a nice week, banging on that 50-day moving average as we see it moving up in an up cycle, basically leading the markets up for the week as we saw the Dow making nice moves for the week, and those companies showing a little bit of strength relative to the other markets. Looking at the NASDAQ, ooh, Apple hurts. All right, so what are we in? We're in an upcycle. We got a higher high and a higher low on Friday, but basically the market is in a downtrend, having a very difficult time breaking above 30 and 50-day moving average. Well, actually, it's above the 30, having a difficult time breaking above this 50-day moving average, as we're not seeing a great deal of movement out of the Apple-led NASDAQ. Looking at the Russell 2000, which was certainly flat for the week, let's take a look at that, and we see that it basically went sideways. This is the time of the year where the Russell should be showing relative strength, the overall market, and certainly after the first of the year, but showing us no great movement for the week as we are in finished the first week in December. Looking at the VIX, what kind of fear do we have in the market? Zippo, none, no fear. We're right between our 15 and our 20, and we're near the low end of that range, so no great fear in the market as we move forward. Next, let's take a look at some of our other sectors. We're going to take a look at the bond market, looking at the TLT, which is our ETF that we look at every week. And look at, there we are, following the overall market, just going sideways, just waiting to see what happens with Washington. Next, we're going to take a look at the financials, showing nice little strength, actually showing more relative strength than any other part of the market. As we see, it's above the 50, above the 30, and above the 200, moving up, trying to get up into that higher zone where it was earlier in this quarter. Okay, next, let's take a look at oil. Where has oil been? What's it been doing? How's it reacting to all of this news out of the U.S.? Nothing. It's been in this same range for almost a couple months. So just absolutely going nowhere. Oil on the lower end of its range. And then that safety haven where we might see some money start to head if we see some fear coming into the market because of the fiscal cliff. And taking a look at gold, we see that it is near the lower end of its range as it's just kind of putzing around here, not near its previous highs in any way, shape, or form. All right, what kind of volume did we have this week? Well, let's take a look at the spider, see what kind of volume we had. Basically, if we look at those 5 days, there looks at the chart, down at the beginning of the week, up at the end of the week, and what kind of volume? Basically, pretty flat average volume in the SPY. So, market just sitting there, not going anyplace, not moving, not showing us anything, and just kind of sitting and waiting. Plenty of economic announcements coming in the next week, and we'll see whether they affect this market and get this thing moving. Will there be a Christmas rally or not? Only time is going to answer that. So let's, for those of you that are gold members, stick around. We've got our stocks to watch, and it's certainly been a rather boring week in the market, and the traders are not all that happy with the amount of movement, but it is what it is. So for those of you that are gold members, we'll continue to with our list of stocks to watch. And for those of you that are not, for more free videos, if you'd like, go to www.optionsuniversity.com/free gold. With that, this is Butch Shorak, Options University. It's Monday, December 10th, 2012. Thank you for being here.